Hi, this is Rebecca. In today's English in the News lesson, we're going to talk about cyber theft. So what does cyber theft mean? The word cyber has to do with computers, and the word theft has to do with stealing. All right? So let's look at 3 headlines that were in the news recently regarding this subject of cyber theft. You'll also learn lots of other vocabulary related to the same theme. So, the first headline said, Target data theft affects 70 million. Target, you should know, is the name of a very large retail store in the United States and Canada and some other places, perhaps. I know they are in Canada and the US. Target payment card heist. Target security breach. Okay? These were 3 different headlines in 3 different newspapers about the same situation, the same story. Let's see what words they chose to use. So here we have target data theft. So that means data or data was stolen and it affected 70 million people. Here they said target payment card heist. So what's a heist? Heist is another word which means robbery or stealing. Another way is target security breach. So what's a breach of security? A breach is a kind of violation when somebody does something illegally that they're not allowed to do. They go over some limit they're not allowed to pass. That's a breach. And in this case, it was a breach of or violation of security. All right? So you have 3 different ways that they've referred to it already. Data theft, payment card heist, security breach. See how you can pick up these expressions, all right, to improve your English? Let's look now at a paragraph about that story. I'll just read it for you first. Retail giant Target confirmed a pre-Christmas cyber attack at over 1,700 U.S. stores, resulting in payment card and identity theft of over 70 million customers. Okay? A lot of information, a lot of journalistic writing packs in a lot of information, especially in the first paragraph. They're supposed to tell you who, what, when, where, why, if they can, or how in that one paragraph. Because in case you don't have time to read the rest, at least you've got the main information. So let's see if we can figure out what that information was. So who were the victims here? Who was affected by this crime? Well, retail giant Target store was affected, and as a result, their customers were affected. These were the victims of this attack, this cyber attack. Who were the criminals? Well, those who did the cyber attack. They're sometimes known as cyber thieves. They're known as cyber hackers. But you'll see this term cyber because they're not just regular thieves. They steal through the means of the computer. Okay? What was the crime? You've now learned many expressions to describe this crime. But let's see what we found here. We also found here cyber attack, payment card theft, identity theft, along with what we had up here, data theft, heist, and breach, right? Security breach. So what is identity theft? What does it mean to steal somebody's identity? Well, it means to take all of their personal and private information, their name, perhaps their email address, their credit card information, their address, things like that, phone number, and then they might try to use your credit card and give your information to in an illegal way. Okay? So that's called identity theft. Stealing somebody's identity, pretending to be that person to do a fraudulent or illegal kind of transaction. Okay? And when did this happen? Okay, did you find the information in this paragraph to tell you when it happened? It said pre-Christmas cyber attack. Pre-Christmas means before Christmas. Okay? And where did it happen? Which places were affected by it? Here. 1,700 US stores. All right? We can say the number like that, 1,700. You can also say 1,700. All right? So here, if you continue to read the story, you would find more vocabulary that you could pick up. So here are 3 things that Target did after that, after this happened, and 3 things that they asked the customers to do. So let's look at what vocabulary they used here. So Target confirmed the unauthorized access. They confirmed, they said, yes, it really did happen. Some people accessed or gained they managed to reach illegally information that was not supposed to be theirs. Unauthorized, it wasn't allowed. Okay. Then Target alerted the authorities. They warned the police, let's say. They got in touch with the police. They investigated the incident. They probed further. They tried to find out more information about what happened. Incident is any kind of occurrence, anything that happens. Then they asked their customers to do certain things. They asked them to monitor their account information. To monitor something means to pay attention to what's happening to it. To watch what's happening. All right? To remain vigilant for fraud. Look at all the vocabulary here. Not necessarily beginner vocabulary, quite advanced in some cases. To remain vigilant means to be on the lookout for, to watch out for, to pay attention to what's happening. And what is fraud? Fraud is any kind of cheating or lying where somebody gains a benefit through that. So somebody lied or cheated in order to get something for themselves. That is fraud. And here we see another form of the word fraud. The customers were also told to report fraudulent activity. Fraudulent is the adjective from the word fraud, any kind of improper activity. Okay? So look at all the different kinds of vocabulary that you've got just from this one news story. So remember, the news, whether it's something you watch, whether it's something you read, or something you listen to, is a great way to improve your English vocabulary. You'll have a chance to review this vocabulary and listen to it again and read it again. And you can pick up that vocabulary, try to use some of this after this lesson, try to write out some sentences of your own regarding something else. And you could use the same vocabulary. You don't always have to use it for the same purpose. For example, here they confirmed the unauthorized access, but you might want to confirm a reservation, right? You can confirm many things. You can alert the authorities. You can alert the police. You can investigate an incident. You can investigate an accident. You can monitor account information, or you can monitor your children when they're playing outside. Okay, keep an eye on them. You can remain vigilant for fraud. You can remain vigilant for any kind of suspicious behavior on anybody's part. And you can report fraudulent activity, or you can report a crime or an accident, right? So you can use these verbs for all kinds of purposes. If you'd like to do a quiz on this, please go to our website, www.engvid.com. You could also subscribe to my YouTube channel and get lots more English lessons, okay? So all the best with your English. Bye for now.